We're live, Tony.
Indeed we are. Indeed we are. Welcome back. We did say it would be between tonight and tomorrow, didn't we? The early hours. So, 2 minutes before midnight. I'm Tony Haggerty. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. And A Haggerty 10 on the X or the Twitter handle. And I'm delighted as ever to be joined by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley on the X or Twitter handle. Celtic 1, Bruges 1, reaction. Maeda makes up for Cameron Carter-Vickers' calamity as the hosts pick up a precious Champions League point. Ryan, you were there. What's your thoughts, first and foremost?
Yeah, that sublime confidence left me after about 10-15 minutes in that game when I started to realise that Club Brugge might be a better side than I thought they were. I knew they were going to be a good side, but the way that they passed that about, especially in the first half, with such style and grace, a couple of really outstanding individual performances from Brugge, I would say. Mostly, I believe he's number 15 on the night, on Yedika, the boy that was formerly of Midfield. I thought he had Hatate controlled for the duration of the game, but Celtic still got a point despite not playing at their best. I'll make the point, Tony. They would have lost that game last season. So I think it's growth in the squad and growth in the side. I'm glad that it wasn't just me that was saying it at full time, because Brendan Rodgers came out and said the exact same thing. So I'm glad that me and him are on the same page when it comes to that. But yeah, I think we'll take the point. It was a bad night at the office in terms of a lot of players, but they still got a point, and it's another point closer to where they need to be come the end of January. So I think we'll take the point and we'll get out of there.
I think they are learning how to play, because any Celtic team in the last 15 years in Europe, I think, would have lost that. I have to be honest. And and that's twice they've came back from behind against decent sides. Bruges were excellent that first half, certainly. The thing I was disappointed was with not so much the final result, but had Celtic put them under more pressure the way they did in the second half, they probably would have won that match, Ryan. But there just wasn't enough pressure, and I think the manager said it himself, they were too passive, especially in the first half. I agreed with that totally. And then you had players who, well, let's just say were off form, weren't at their best. The midfield in particular struggled the first half, didn't they? But the positives are that they're still in a great position to qualify. 8 points after 5 games. Could have been 10 at the end up. But listen, I'm taking the silver lining from it. They weren't at their best, but they still didn't get beat. So, yeah, happy enough with that, right?
Yes, I would agree with that, and I would particularly agree with what you're saying with regard to the midfield. I thought all three midfielders, and I'm not going to single out anybody because I think it's better to talk about them as a collective.
Yep.
Also, due to the fact if I call another player out again, I'll be probably criticised as targeting the player, even though again we know who we're talking about. But I'm not gonna go down that road. I thought the whole midfield looked disjointed and quite lost in that midfield battle against Club Brugge. But Brugge were so much better than Celtic in the middle of the park. They looked more cohesive. And I thought the only midfielder, literally the only midfielder to get pass marks again was Paulo Bernardo when he came onto the pitch. It's incredible how, in my opinion, it's incredible how this guy is not starting games for Celtic.
He will be soon enough. He will be soon enough.
There you go. There's your first prediction for Saturday. I think it would be shocking. I think it would be absolutely shocking if Paulo Bernardo does not start the game on Saturday. And he's not the only one. Luke McCown could probably be in with a shout there as well. But especially Paulo Bernardo. Look at the portfolio of work he's had off the bench, the good performances that he's had coming off the bench. It's about time he starts games, because I think he's in Celtic's best 11 at the moment. He comes on, he impacts games, he is positive, he tries to make things happen on both ends of the field. And yeah, he's got to start games for me now. He's too good to be on the bench at this moment in time, especially with other players being so off form but continuing to play in place of him.
I did say if the remit for any substitute coming off the bench is to make an impact, how many more impacts can Paulo Bernardo make before he has to be considered for a first team start. It's he is the man at the minute in the Celtic midfield. He's making a lot of things happen, and he nearly scored the winner, shuffling the ball from his right to left, and probably could have done better actually with the final shot that he got away. But I'm not going to have a go at him for that. I think he was disappointed that he didn't get it on target, but I think I think his work rate certainly when he came on was excellent, and Celtic got fresh attacking impetus when he came on, and he's just a tidy footballer. He's also a very good footballer. I think the midfield three as a collective didn't cover themselves in glory, Ryan. I think we'll leave it at that. But it was largely why Bruges dominated for the first half, because Celtic's midfield just couldn't get to grips with the press, couldn't get to grips with the slick passing, and they were taken out swiftly, in my book, quite a few times by that kind of quick counter-attacking. And Kasper Schmeichel again dug Celtic out with a wonderful save from De Kuiper, which was heading in for 2-0, and that'd have been game over. And brilliant, dive to his left, pushes it round his post, and the winger should have scored, the number 7, whose name escapes me. I think he's Danish, isn't he?
Scovolsen.
That's him, Scovolsen. He skied one, didn't he, for 2-0? Should have buried it.
Really good player. He looks a really good player. You know, it's tall wingers that seem to be Celtic's tonight in games. A winger that's got a bit of height about him, but pace and skill. And there was a couple of players that really did stand out in a good way for Club Brugge tonight. But I would
that's 5 games at Celtic Park, though, Ryan. Unbeaten run continues. 8 points from 5 matches this season in the Champions League. So I think that's good going. Probably ahead of where you thought you would be at this time, if you're being honest. With a game against Young Boys to come, and an away trip to Zagreb and Birmingham to play Aston Villa. So it's in Celtic's hands. Qualification for the knockout or the playoff round, certainly. But yeah, I'm as I say, I'm being positive, Ryan. They got a point. Celtic teams in the past while would have lost that game. They didn't. And Mialbi was in the studio. He was just saying you just can't give away goals like that. Cameron Carter-Vickers, don't know what he was thinking.
Is this his first game watching Celtic?
His Russian blood to the
head. Celtic do this in Europe. This is just par for the course.
Yeah. You mentioned off air, and we'll talk about, as much as Cameron Carter-Vickers had a nightmare moment, he actually played okay, but his partner in crime beside him, Austin Trusty, I think we've been bigging him up for a wee while. He is looking every inch a £6 million player now, isn't he?
He's looking double that, at least. At the moment. He's actually, the past couple of games...
Steady!
If he was doing that, he's a Champions League defender, and I would expect Champions League fees to be paid for. I think he's that good already. He has a calming presence. There was only one time where he got beat in the second half, where he got nutmegged by the man, but he did well to get back, or somebody else did well to get back and stop it from a goal occurring or a big chance occurring. But I just thought again he was the calming presence in that back line for Celtic. He is good on the ball. He's good defensively. He is vocal. He's very vocal on the pitch. You can hear him. You can hear him barking out orders to his fellow players. That's brilliant for a guy that's only been at the club a couple of months to be that leader on the pitch already. At the moment, he is he's been in the team the past 12, 13 games. He's played every minute of those 12, 13 games. There is an actual case, a case to say that he could be Celtic's first choice defender at this moment in time. Look at the portfolio he's compiling of games consecutively for Celtic. You get what you pay for at the end of the day, and I think he's beginning to show that at Celtic.
There was one pass in particular, a long pass to Maeda, which I thought was outstanding in the first half. Yeah, you probably remember it. But also, you were talking about those leadership qualities. I actually thought Kasper Schmeichel was brilliant tonight. Not so much for his save, but the fact that he got all the players together after Carter Vickers' mistake and shouted Callum McGregor and just sort of said, right, everybody in, calm down, just everybody calm down. And Callum McGregor spoke about that. It's on the Q&A on the website. He's talking about that there's no blame attachment because that's the way they're taught to play that high courage, high tempo kind of game. And I think Kasper Schmeichel, as Joe Hart was in the studio and he was saying that's what Kasper Schmeichel would have been reminding the guys of. This is the way you play. It's done. You can't do anything about it. Restore calmness and get yourself back into the game and protect the football at all times. So I really liked that, Ryan. I really liked that vocalness and not being shy to say, and he actually shouted McGregor to come in and get them on a huddle and talk. And yeah, that was brilliant. I thought it was great. And twice they've come back, Ryan, from a goal behind. They won the first game against RB Leipzig, coming from behind. They managed to get another point, and it's a precious point. Every point is precious in the Champions League, especially in this Champions League phase. So disappointed, yep, because I felt if we'd have pressurised Bruges a lot more, there would have been joy for us. But you have to credit the opponent sometimes. To say that they played very slickly and they were a lot better than I think a lot of people anticipated, weren't they? And obviously Celtic got the benefit of a decision as well when VAR ruled your man's goal offside. So, but again, Joe Hart called that as well. So he was saying he was offside. So eagle-eyed Joe Hart in the commentary box. But you like him as well. You've always bigged him up. Dyson Maeda, what a goal. Take a bow.
Yeah, and I didn't think he was having that great a game, to be honest with you, before then. But don't get me wrong, it's always a prerequisite, his defensive maturity and constantly running for the ball and making the press happen and counter pressures happen, and trying to get interceptions. But he does have that in his locker as well. It's not the first time we've seen a goal like that from a tight angle from Dyson Maeda, but it's all due. A couple of minutes earlier, Celtic make a sub. They take Greg Taylor off and bring Alex Bailly on. Immediately, you could see the shift, the tonal shift, and on that left hand side, Bailly just has this pace and this power going forward that way, and it almost makes you think why has he not been starting more games recently for Celtic? I know that Greg Taylor is the sort of the undisputed number one left back at Celtic, but I think there's games in which Bailly could be so effective for Celtic, particularly on the that out ball and trying to break through low blocks like Club Brugge had in the second half, because they did play more defensive in the second half. It's almost as if they got their goal. Yes, they had a couple of chances. That big chance, I remember, when it went to the guy out wide, and he skies it over the bar. You know, I think he's got to score that. That was a big chance for Brugge, and that was only a couple of minutes before Celtic equalised. Yeah. It's a massive chance. Sometimes you need things to go your way, and Celtic got that at that moment in time. But yeah, I thought Bailly was brilliant when he came on. He is a nightmare to defend against, you can tell, because he's unorthodox. He runs in a really weird way, kind of like the way Kieran Tierney used to run at defenders and fellow fullbacks. Yeah, I was really impressed with him. But what a goal from Dyson Maeda! It's perfect too, because it hits the post and goes in. It's absolutely unsavable for the goalkeeper, for Simon Mignolet. And I liked his attitude as well. He didn't go and celebrate it and milk it. He wanted to go and put the ball back on the centre circle to try and get a win. That's a great mentality that Celtic have got. That a draw, even though, you know, looking back on it, it probably is a decent result and a fair result given the way that the game went. They wanted to win that game, and they were in the ascendancy for the majority of the rest of the game from that point.
When Bernardo and Bailly came on, Celtic were in the ascendancy. The mood music changed, didn't it? Old Mick Olaf coming in and saying this. I think Taylor and Engels need to sit out a few games now and Vi and Bernardo to get a few games on the run. We had both Bernardo and Vi in our starting 11s, Ryan. So maybe we'll get our wish starting from Saturday on the basis of tonight's evidence. And Bethany Webb coming in and saying, I think Dyson slipped as well, which made it all the more brilliant. He did actually slip as he executed the goal, but yeah, typical
It wouldn't be
Dyson
Maeda to
performance.
do something like that. That's just what he does.
I thought it was one of those ones where he was going to slip and he was going to hit the ball from one foot to the other. One of those kind of things. But no, he buried it all right. Yeah, it was great. And lots of people coming in and saying that they feel that Bernardo should start over Arne Engels. Well, that's welcome to that club. We've been banging that drum for a wee while now, haven't we, to be honest, Ryan?
It's quite busy in this club at the moment.
What's that?
It's quite busy in this club at the moment. This Bernardo club or whatever drum we're banging on about. But it just look, the proof is there. That he comes onto the pitch and immediately he's positive. I'm trying to figure out. I don't want to talk about him individually because everybody knows we'd be repeating what we were saying after the Hearts game. But he was poor. He was poor tonight again, Engels, and that's 3 games in a row. He's been poor ever since the Leipzig game. It's been Kilmarnock, Hearts, Hearts, and now Club Brugge, and he's been poor in all 3 of those games. So it is a bit of a skid. You also add that to the fact that he had difficult games for Belgium as well. It just seems as if he'll be feeling it at the moment. He'll be like, right, this isn't exactly working well in this moment at Celtic and internationally as well. So I think for the best, and this is where Rodgers' man management may come into play here. Take him out of the firing line and bring him on as a sub on Saturday. Let Bernardo get the chance, get the opportunity, or Luke McCowan. I wouldn't be against Hatate coming out the team and putting Luke McCowan in and Bernardo for that game against Ross County. Now is the time to rotate your team. If you've got, it's a game against Ross County at home. You should be expecting to rotate and still have enough quality to beat the opposition on any given Saturday. Make those subs. Maybe put Baye in as well. Potentially bring in Scales. I don't know. Manage Carter Vickers' game time. But this is where the squad's going to be so important, Tony.
Keen to stress as well that Engels is still a young guy and he's learning how to play the Celtic way and learning how to play at such a massive club like Celtic. And people are thinking that he's maybe best suited to being a number 6. That's all to be discovered in the fullness of time when the manager finally decides where his best position lies. But I think they're not criticisms of players per se, they're observations, and you're observing the fact that his last few games for Celtic, you're wanting more from Arne Engels, aren't you? And his confidence levels have clearly dipped, but if there's one manager who can keep those confidence levels up, then it's Brendan Rodgers. He will improve them. We have said before that he has quality in his locker. He's just not shown it just now. And I think the majority of Celtic fans would like to see Bernardo take his place in the team for the time being. That's all we're saying about Arne Engels. It was another poor display tonight against his former club, Ryan. And you can't escape that, and you can't escape that the last few performances from Arne Engels have been below par and not what you would expect from him, because he is a quality player.
It would be unfair to not criticise the player if he's having bad performances. You've got to stay consistent when you praise a player. You praise a player because they'll do well, and it's nothing personal against the player. If a player has a bad performance, you've got every right to call it out and criticise it because you expect better from a player. Unfortunately, at the moment, when Engels plays, I don't know what I expect from him, and that's the God's honest truth. At the moment, I don't know. For me personally, and I was watching him very closely tonight because I wanted to see him do well against his former side. Tony, I think he's playing out of position. I don't think a number 8. I don't think he's a number 8. I think he should be playing in Callum McGregor's position. What that means, I don't know what that means for the squad going forward. I think he's a number 6. I don't think he's as mobile in the number 8 as I think Brendan Rodgers would like. I think Bernardo can play in that 8 role. The only problem with this is that Callum McGregor has been in that role for the best part of 3-4 years. now? Do you suddenly move him further forward again? I don't think he's as influential going forward as much as what he was in the past. That's down to decline, down to age decline, and that's what happens to players as they get older. So it's an interesting one, but I think that Engels is a number 6. I don't think he's as attacking as we thought he would be. I don't think he's a direct replacement for Matt O'Reilly in goals and assists. So move him and let's see what he can do at the number 6. I don't know what that means for Callum McGregor, but I do want to see some rotation. I want to see him playing as a number 6.
And by the way, Callum McGregor and Rio Hatate, if I may say, aren't exempt from flack tonight, because I thought Rio Hatate's ball distribution and ball retention was poor, for want of a better word. And when Rio Hatate's off it, he is off it, and Celtic suffer because of that. And I thought that Brugge played them really well. They realised that Hatate would give you the ball back because he was very careless in possession at times, and he was trying passes that sometimes just weren't on, in my opinion, and he could have recycled the ball and kept a hold of it. Joe Hart was banging on about that in the commentary box as well, protecting the football, which they did so well against RB Leipzig, and it just seemed to affect the whole midfield. So Engels wasn't alone in being below par tonight. But I go back to, I think their opponents played them well, especially in the first half. And I think things changed when Bernardo came on. Celtic get more of a grip with the contest. And I think George coming in, and this is what Joe Hart was saying, he always wants a half turn instead of letting the ball in front of him. And Joe Hart made a point of saying that, and that's okay when the half turn comes off. So it's when it doesn't, that's when problems occur. And I thought he was dispossessed a lot of the times very easily tonight, and also his passing was, as I want to say, a bit erratic. So yeah, but just again, that's what I was seeing, Ryan, and other people see different things, don't they? And that's why the game's all about opinions. But I think the midfield, certainly in the first half, was second best, and it showed.
Very much so. Yep, and it was evident because Brugge looked so comfortable on the ball in the first half. They were fizzing it, cross balls to wide players with ease, and you're like, Celtic need to figure this out, and they need to figure it out quickly. At worst, they had to be 1-0 down at half time. That had to be the worst it was. If they were to concede any more, I'd struggle to see a way back for Celtic in the game, but they did keep it to 1-0. And I did notice from the second half kicking off, Rodgers had clearly had words in them, or words of encouragement, or I don't know what tact he would have used. He would have probably told them to calm down and play their own game. And they did. Johnson had more of the ball in the second half. He became more of an attacking force alongside Bailly. That he had a better second half than he did first half, but he was still quite poor for the majority. Callum McGregor was poor for the majority of the game. Engels lasted 58 minutes before being taken off. Bernardo comes on and was the best midfielder out of the 4, which tells you its own story, really, on how... Yeah. But every sub that came on made a difference, Tony. Maybe apart from Yang, because he struggled to get in the game towards the end, but it was coming towards the end of the game. Kuna just ran out of gas completely. He was he was done. He was out on his feet. He did try. There was a moment in the first half where he, again, and this is the one problem I've got with Kuna, that's the only problem, he needs to learn when to release the ball, because he beats about 2 players and then keeps on going. He wants to beat the rest of the team. You could get an assist if you just pass it, because you've allowed men to commit onto you. So if he passes it to someone that's free, then they might have a shot at goal. You never know where that ends up. But I thought that Rodgers made the right decision when taking Maeda off instead of Kuhn. I felt that the 5 minutes before Kuhn came off, he was getting into the game a bit more. Johnson was making that decoy run and taking one of the 2 marked defenders because two of them, there was always two defenders on Kuhn. It was very explicit as to what they were doing with Kuhn. Double team him, get him out of the game because he is the danger man. And for the most part, that worked. But he was getting some joy towards the end, but right before he was taken off, but he was done. But every sub that came on, including Maeda, I thought he was a presence up front. Maybe he could have got brought on. He could have got brought on earlier, but in terms of Bailly and Bernardo, I thought those two were the standouts coming off the bench.
I think you're always going to keep Kuhn on for as long as you can, because you're just liable to go on that mazy Ryan and find the bottom corner, isn't he, with a curler? And he did that a couple of times. We just couldn't get a shot away, and as you see, couldn't get a pass away. But that's the one big, negative or criticism of his game. He likes to dart into the box, but sometimes he just runs out of ideas, or he forgets that he can pass it because he's looking always to get the shot away, isn't he? And then he just he does neither nor. That's the thing, and that's very frustrating, isn't it? So
the only thing I can liken it to is when, if your controller goes off when you're playing FIFA and your character just keeps on going, it just keeps on running without any direction. It's almost as if you run out of batteries and he keeps on going. I know only a certain amount of people will get that reference, but that's what it's like with him. Like, just make a decision, make a pass, or take a shot, but don't keep on going and trying and beat the rest of the team. We know you're a good player. We know you can easily skin most players on the opposite team, but sometimes it's better to just pass the ball in those instances.
That was one for all the gamers out there, Ryan, who are probably up gaming at this minute in time, aren't they? The FIFA reference, indeed. That made me laugh, to be fair. I've never played FIFA in my life, Ryan, so I'll take your word for it, fella. I'm sure you're very good at it, which is why I wouldn't take you on, because you'd give me a Inverness clacking a kidding, no doubt, at the old FIFA. But yes. But no, I'm reasonably happy, Ryan. Celtic can play better. They were below par tonight, but they've still got a point, and they've still got 1 point closer to hopefully securing a playoff spot. 8 points from the first 5 is a decent return. We'd loved it to have been 10. We'd have felt so much better about ourselves had it been 10. But I think we accept that. Well, certainly the first half, Celtic was second best, but came right back into it in the second half, and maybe could have snatched it or sneaked it at the end. But the biggest learning curve for me is that Celtic teams in the past, when I say the last 15 years, I said at the start, would have lost that. They haven't lost it. So it could prove a crucial point come the final reckoning, Ryan, when we're talking about the teams that qualified for the top 24.
Yeah, 8 points is still a good position. As long as you're getting things in games, it also makes the trip to Zagreb that little bit more interesting as well. And the fact that a win could essentially see you get through to the next round. 11 points is a pretty much a guarantee to get through now at this stage, I believe. Then you've got Young Boys, and then you've got Aston Villa. There's games in which Celtic can get 1 point or 3 points in here. Just as long as they keep on progressing and getting those points on the board, then they should be absolutely fine. Tony, I'm just I'm mindful of the fact that my battery on my laptop's at 5% and I'm from my car, so I might go off at some point.
She prefers Subbuteo to FIFA, Ryan, and my ball, a man after my own heart. He's a super striker guy. That was the one where you pressed the heads, which I still have to this day, up behind my wardrobe, famous wardrobe. Okay, we shall let the man depart the premises and get himself home. Celtic won, Bruges won. Celtic stretched their unbeaten Champions League home record to 5 games. They've got 8 points from 5 games, Ryan. They're still in with a great chance of making it to the knockout phase or the playoff spot, which the manager said was one of the targets at the start of the season. You get yourself home, sir, and thank you to everybody who joined us. Over 360 people joining us. Really appreciate it. We always do. And we shall see. Well, Ryan will see you tomorrow. I'm on day off, but Ryan and Hamish will be there to talk you through it all over again. All right, fella? Take it easy.
Ideal, guys. Thank you very much to everybody for watching us tonight and previously in the other video. Just a wee quick reminder, and I won't bring it up just yet, but starting right now, you can check out the latest offer that we've got on the Celtic Way if you want to subscribe. I'll wait until tomorrow to sort of give it its full description, but it is a very exciting deal if you check it out on the Celtic Way website at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. But I want to do it justice, so I'm going to leave it until tomorrow to talk about it in full.
Nice one. Well, guys, a draw is better than nothing, but it could be a huge point for Celtic come the final reckoning. We shall wait and see how it all unfolds. Ryan, thank you so much, mate. Take yourself home and safe travels home. All right, fella?
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for watching tonight.